Okay, so this is an introduction to the course. And the first thing I'd like to say is that I do not use Brightspace, nor do I use Blackboard. Okay, so let that be, the edict that Professor Greenhall has his own method of teaching, which has been approved by the chairman of the mathematics department. I don't know, I don't even know how to use Brightspace, and I know how to use Blackboard to a certain degree because that's what we used to have. That's what we used to use before Brightspace. But I don't use either one of those. So, the Zoom link that you used to get in here today is the one that you will use for the entire semester. Nonetheless, I will be sending you the link for the first few classes. Okay, but after a while, it's not necessary. And certainly, I had students in the previous semesters who used my passcode and my ID and passcode to get into the room without even using the the link. So that's that. All right. Does anybody have a question so far? So I obviously you've all read about it, and I've told you many times. I like questions. Questions serve a very important purpose because not only does it clear things up for you, but it clears things up for a lot of other people in the class who don't want to be that person who asks the question. Okay? So far, any questions?
I have two questions.
Really, so far? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You said that you sent a video to everybody. Was that like through email?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't receive the email. Does that mean like I have the wrong email or?
Okay. So actually, that's a good question. I was going to get to that later, but this is a good time to answer that. So a lot of people never sent me a return email. In other words, I sent everyone in the class an email, and I got a response from like maybe 20 or 21 students out of the 27 or 28 that I originally had in the class. And the reason is that people like to use their private emails, and some students like to use the college email, the BMCC dot what is it? stu.bmcc.cuny.edu, right? So that's what people like to use. But so if I'm sending you an email to your college email address, please send me an email which tells me what email you would like me to use, because I don't care how I communicate with you online as long as it's um, the way you will retrieve your emails. Okay, so for Anthony, for example, please send me your email address and I will change it on I have a group, that I've created on my Gmail, and I want to use the correct email address. So please send me whatever email you would like me to use.
I emailed you from my student email and you responded. I asked you about Brightspace. You said I don't use
Okay,
Brightspace.
but in general, to those 19 students who are here right now, please send me the email address you would like me to use. We need to be able to communicate. In this online setting, it's very important. It's important anyway. Even when I was teaching in the classroom, it was important to be able to communicate outside of school. And but I need to know the correct emails. So those of you who are getting emails, and if you don't get the email through your personal email, then you go to the college email. Now, in my case, I don't like going to my college email because I like just looking at my regular emails and seeing And I will answer your email. Students, one student on Rate My Professor wrote, he responds to emails faster than I've ever seen anybody respond. And that's because I have a lot of friends and family and so on who are always emailing me, and I'm always checking it. And if I see one of your emails over there, I will respond to it as quickly as possible. But only if you send it to the email that I've been telling you to. And some people have been saying to me, okay, I will do it. And then they send it to my college email. So I don't even want to go to my college email, except maybe once a week to get things I need to get from the college, from the administration, from my colleagues in the mathematics department. What was your second question? Well, Dakota, 1 second, because Anthony had another question. What was your other question?
Do you give extra credit for the workshops if you attended them? I know some professors do and some professors don't. Like they have workshops.
What workshop are you talking about?
The one before the class, like they have a pre 206.5.
Did you go to that?
Yeah, I did.
That's
all right. Just asking. That's why I just had to ask.
No, but I'll talk about that later.
Okay, thank
Because
you.
when I give tutoring, there are times when I give tutoring. I believe I try to do a tutoring every week or a couple of weeks. Certainly before an actual test, I do a tutoring session, usually on the weekend, but sometimes during the week. I give extra credit for that. Okay? But if you attended a workshop, then I don't know what goes on in that workshop. I don't know who's teaching it. I don't know what's going on. Frankly, I don't like them for the reason that everything that you learn in this class, I would like you to learn from me. Not because I think I'm such a great teacher, but because I think I'm such a great teacher. No, really, it's because I would like you to learn your intermediate algebra and pre-calculus from me. I don't want you to learn it from somebody else who's a different, that really doesn't sit well with me. So I don't even promote the workshops because I don't really want students to go to them. And anyway, when I teach a lesson, I do a lot of review and I do a lot of basic understanding of concepts in algebra. So I do my own workshops as I go along. Okay, so somebody had their hand up and I want to get to that. Who was that person?
Yes, Professor. I was wondering, I'm just having slight technical difficulties with my camera. For some reason, my computer thinks there's another application that's using my camera. So I think to figure that out, I need to leave the class and come back. But I was wondering, what was your preference on our participation when it comes to cameras? Do you want them always on all semester?
Good question. I do not care one way or another whether you use your camera or not. Okay, I don't need to see your face. No offense. I just don't think that that's one of the most important things that we need to do. So you can use your camera, you can not use your camera. I don't care. The only time I need you to use your camera is when I'm giving a test. When I'm giving a test, I need to see you. I need to see you actually taking the test. Okay?
Okay, sweet. That makes a lot clear sense. Thank you. So I won't have to restart. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I would like to go to the website. So let me go to the website and do a screen share here. And let's go through this. Let's go through this whole homework thing because I know that people have questions about that. So this is what the website looks like. And a lot, 50 people saw the introduction, or at least there were 50 views to it. I don't know how many people actually saw it, but this is what it looks like. And there's some very nice pictures of the college here. And there's a little bit of information. I do mention the textbook, which I don't use. So, you could use that if you want. If you think that you could learn the math that we're going to be doing from a workbook, from a textbook rather, then you can do that. But I do have free textbooks. You see the ones over here that I'm just pointing to. There's the OER textbook, OER meaning online educational resource, and that's a pretty good textbook. The only problem is it only goes up to chapter 5, and there are 7 chapters in the semester, but it's pretty good. You know, you click on it, and it's written by a very, very good person, Susan Liswinko, who's an outstanding person, great teacher, great mathematician, and it's keyed to the curriculum. So there's 1.1, which is what we're going to be doing today, and 1.2, and it goes right into her interpretation of how to teach this topic. Now, personally, I would rather you not use a textbook, because textbooks are difficult to use. I was a math major, and I studied mathematics for many, many years, and textbooks never really helped me that much. So if you don't want to use that book, you could use, any of the other 2 books. But even better than that is to use the YouTube videos. So when you take a, you're in class, you're taking notes on what I'm saying, and I'm giving you information. And if you don't understand something, then the best way of learning what I was trying to say in class is to go to my YouTube channel. This is my YouTube channel right here. And there's 2 things there right now. One is the course introduction. The other are the rules for test taking, which are not important now until we take our first exam. But, this is where all the videos will be. And there will be 1 video for every single lesson I teach. So if you were in class and you didn't quite get something, the best way of solving that problem is to go to the video of the lesson and go back through it, find the spot where I was teaching that topic, and say, well, let me just watch it again. And some students say, I watched it 5 times until I understood it. And I said, great, that's wonderful. I'm glad I have the video there to give you the opportunity of, getting a chance to see. It's like unbelievable, because you're watching the lesson over again as many times as you want. Many students use the videos when they're about to take a test and they want to go through a lot of the skills that I taught. So it's a very, very good thing. Okay, so that's that part of it. Don't send me chat messages now, because I'm in the middle of this thing. So here's the calendar, and this gives you the email that I would like you to use. So please don't send emails to the college email address. Send it to my personal email. You see it right there. And there's my personal Zoom ID and passcode. And there's a way of joining that. I'm not sure how to do that. But students in the previous semesters were always in class before they ever, use the Zoom thing, because they use the ID and passcode. Okay, and here's what we're doing. So here's today's lesson, Introduction to the Course, and sections 1.1, 1.2. Monday is no class. You should go to this occasionally just to see what's going on. And you can see that on Monday, September 2nd, there will be no class. It's Labor Day. And our next class after today will be on Thursday, September 5th. And what we'll be doing, now, if I'm telling you what we'll be doing, but that doesn't mean I want you to go ahead on your own and, start to learn it on your own somehow, because I don't want you to do that. I want to be the one. I've been teaching for 55 years, and I've learned that students need to learn what they're going to learn from me, not from a textbook, not from whatever. Okay, so there it is, and that also lists when the first test is scheduled to be, which is Thursday, September 19th. Okay, and the next topic that we're going to start, which is, section 2 and so on. So that's the calendar. Here's the course outline. It's all keyed to the workbook. The workbook is listed on top as well. So there's the course outline. There's all the lessons that I'll be teaching, plus, very important, the homework assignment. And this means page 5 to 6, and then problems 1, B, H, and J. Page 10, problems H, N, and 12F. Get it? Now, what do you do exactly with the homework? Do you send it to me? No, I do not want you to send me your homework. Do I grade homework? No, I do not grade homework. So what's the purpose of doing homework? Very easy. I teach the lesson, you then go do the homework, and then the next class we have, the first thing I will do is not only go over the homework, every single problem I gave you, but I will answer as many questions as you may have related to the homework. So the homework is intended to, one, give you a feeling for whether you've learned what I did in class, but it's also there for you to focus, hey, wait a minute, I have a question and I want to, this, so you write it down. You say, this is the question I want to ask. And then when we go over the homework, like for example, I've given you, there's a homework assignment for section 1.1, 1.2. You do the homework and you're not sure of your answers. Well, normally I would go over that on the next class, which is not going to be Monday, obviously. It's going to be next Thursday. But next Thursday, the first thing I will do is begin going over the homework. And the review of the homework will also be a video that you could look at, okay? And, as I said, I would like you to look at my videos. Now, where is this homework found? Right here in the workbook. And there are all the chapters. And for this particular assignment that I've given you, there's, again, everything is keyed to the course outline. And you go down to where the problems are. There are tens of thousands of problems in this workbook. We're not doing anywhere near that many. We're just doing the ones that I think you should know. It's my decision, and these are the ones I think you should know. Well, there's the homework. This is page 5, which is where the homework was, if you remember. And problem B, I give problem H, and problem J. I don't need to give you, I know there are professors that give 30 problems in the homework. I don't do that. I pick out the ones that are most important, that I want you to know how to do, and those are the ones that I would like you to do. So only 3 problems from section 1.1, and then here's section lesson 1.2. And there are the problems I would like you to do. I don't really know which ones I assign, but there are all the problems. Probably I assign this problem because I love this problem, problem N. Okay, so you know what you do when a professor says, I love this problem? You make a note of that. I used to do that when I was in college. When a professor was teaching the class, this happened to me. I was taking a very advanced math class. I was a math major, for a long time. And the professor looked at a question that he had done. He did it in front, and then he turned to the class and said, I love this problem. Well, what did that mean to me? That meant to me that it's going to be on the next test. When a professor says, I love this problem, they're saying it for a reason. They're saying it because of all the other problems. This is the one that will be on the test. So you make a note of that. And anyway, they're all the problems I want you to do. And it goes on to section 1.3, which will be your homework after next Thursday's class. All right, we won't get into that though. I don't like jumping ahead because it's tough enough learning math when you're just learning the things you're learning. Okay, so that's the workbook. I've showed you the textbook. If you want to use a textbook, go ahead and use a textbook. But I would prefer that you did not use a textbook. You know what I find helpful? I find it very helpful so let's say I'm a student and I'm learning a concept and I just don't understand it as well as I think I should. What I would do is I would Google the concept, and you get a whole list of all these people. You know, the Khan Academy, you've heard of that? Did you ever hear of the organic chemistry tutor? I like his. He makes a lot of mistakes, but I like his videos, and I've watched his videos, and they're very interesting. There's a young woman named Nancy Pye who does a very nice job, and there are other people also, and you may like those. I just find it easier to learn math by watching a video than it is. Well, somebody just told me that they watched the Khan Academy. That's great. Good. I'm very happy. Really, any way you could learn this course is all I care about is that everybody passes the course. And if you could learn it, you know, by watching my video, if you can learn it by watching the Khan Academy or somebody else's video, that's great. If you can learn it by doing the textbook, that's any way you could learn, you know, the material in order to take the test and do well. That's all I care about. Okay? Does anybody have a question so far?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. I guess you speak for the class. All righty, so let me see what I want to say here. Well, as I said in the video that I sent you, I give 4 exams. I drop your lowest grade. Okay, so I'll have, you know, 4 numbers in front of me, hopefully, and I'll take your lowest one and drop it. And then I'll take the other 3, take an average, and then that'll count 70% of your grade. And the final exam will count another 30%. Oh, office hours. So students would be interested in knowing when I have office hours. The answer to that question is, I have office hours when you need to see me. See, if I have an office hour, let's say Wednesday at 3 o'clock, well, you could be busy. You could be taking a class. You could be going to work. You could be doing something else where you can't come to the office hour. Therefore, I will have an office hour with you whenever you need me. You just send me an email, or in class, you could say, I'd like to speak with you in class, and we could talk at the end of the class. And you would say, Professor, could we set up a Zoom because I want to talk to you privately? And the answer is yes. And we'll pick the time that's good for you. Of course, I have to be free also. I do have a life. I do have, you know, a wife and a house and 3 children, and there's a lot going on. And, you know, I have things going on as well, but we'll try to work out a time. But that's the way you do it. You don't do it and say to the class, I am having an office hour, you know, on Mondays from 11 to 12. That's not the way I do things. I do things, I'm here, as I said on the video, I work for you. I'm here to help you. You tell me when you're available, and that's the time we will have. I mean, I go to bed usually around 11 o'clock in the evening. So if you want to have a video Zoom with me, if you want to do a Zoom with me at like 4 in the morning, that's not going to work. All right, because 4 in the morning, hopefully I will not, you know, I'll be out. But that's, you know, again, I think I've made my point. I do have tutoring that I do, and I'll announce that when I do it. I can't tell you now when the tutoring will be. It will usually be just before a test, but it can be, if we learn a very difficult concept in class and I'm not sure that everybody understood it, I may have a tutoring in order to, reinforce that concept. So, that's how I do things in terms of tutoring. Do I give extra credit, Anthony, for people who come to tutoring? I do.
Yes.
I give extra credit for people who come to tutoring. In other words, if you have a 99 average, you don't need tutoring. You don't need extra credit either. That's an A. But there are many students, most students, who don't get that higher grade. And, those students could use extra credit. And this is the way I use extra credit, just the way I explained it on the video. I figure out your average. It comes out to a 77 average, right? Which is a C. But you've come to tutoring like 6 or 7 times. And your class participation is great. You've asked questions. You've answered questions. You've spoken about things that related to the topic that I'm teaching. I put all that together, and I would raise the student's grade from the 77 average, which is a C, to a B minus, most likely. There was one student who was just unbelievable in class, answering questions, asking questions, just doing everything I wanted. And the student had an average, and I said, "You have been the backbone of this class. I'm going to raise you two levels," right? Well, actually, the student that I gave the B minus to with the 77 average, 77 is considered a C plus, I believe. I believe it's 73 to 76 is a C. 77 is a C plus. So that's easy. But there have been students that I've actually raised from a 74 or a 73 to a B minus. So I like to do things like that for people who extend themselves and come to tutoring, ask a lot of questions. Students like tutoring. The tutoring class is very informal. Sometimes I do a video of it, so I send you the video of the tutorial, and you can ask any question you want, and you can ask as many questions as you want. Usually it lasts about an hour or an hour and a half, and there are other students there as well, but everybody will get an opportunity to ask as many questions as they want. And the tutoring is really fun because it's kind of informal, and everybody, and I don't have an agenda. I don't have a lesson. I write down all my lessons in a book, but I don't have that for tutoring. For tutoring, the lesson is based on what is good for you. You have a question? That's the agenda. That's my lesson. My lesson plan is what the questions that you ask. Okay? But we'll talk about that when the time comes. So does anybody have a question after talking about that? Just, don't even raise your hand. You could just call out a question. Oh, okay, a million things to talk about. If you have a question about something and you don't want to ask it in class and you're in a hurry after the class to get to another class or to get to work, you can send me an email. Always send me emails. Always send me emails, just like I will send you emails all the time. So check your emails. Don't just, don't ever say to me, the worst thing you could ever say to me is, "Oh, I didn't get your email because I don't always check my emails." Well, if that's the case, you better drop the course, because I send a lot of emails and I expect people to answer my emails. If I ask you a question through an email, then I want to know, I want an answer to that email. Okay? So check your emails. Calculator.
I have a question.
Calculators. Oh, somebody has a question. Good. Go ahead.
So I was just wondering, because BMCC offers tutoring through Upswing. Is that where you're going to be offering the tutoring, or is this like a private tutoring session?
It's a private tutoring class.
Okay.
It's a Zoom tutoring,
Okay.
right? So I will, it'll be the same Zoom link that I always use. And that's what it has nothing to do with the college. Okay, this is my own thing. I'm giving workshops because, tutoring workshops because I want to do it. It's not has nothing to do with the college at all. Okay,
Right.
have a calculator. My calculator is old. I bought this like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. It's old. There are better ones than this. But this is the calculator I use. You're going to need a calculator, okay? Because it has a lot of functions that we will be using. Like, for example, sine, cosine, and tangent, and logarithms, and other things like that you're going to need. But you could also use this whenever you want. You could use this on a test. If you're taking a test and, I give you a problem to do where you have to do some division and you're not the best divider in the world, you could use your calculator. I use my calculator all the time. Not necessarily when I'm in class, sometimes when I'm just doing calculations on my own. I use this calculator. You're allowed to use this calculator or any calculator except one type of calculator. It's called a graphing calculator. You're not allowed to use a graphing calculator. And I have been told by my department that if I see a student using a graphing calculator, I give the student a warning, don't do that. And the second time they use it, I have to report that student to the mathematics department. Okay, certainly on a test. If I ever see a student using a graphing calculator, then it's an automatic 0. Because there's a lot of graphing in this course. There's a lot of graphing. Every chapter we have, there'll be a different type of graph. And you need to know how to do the graphing on your own without letting the calculator do it for you. So you need to have a scientific calculator. This is what I use, again, but you could use whatever one you want. I don't care. Okay? Any questions about that?
What type of calculator do you want us to get? A scientific calculator or what?
Has
what's
to be a scientific calculator.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that's the calculator you need. It can't be a basic calculator because it's not going to have sine, cosine, and tangent.
Okay.
And it can't be a graphing calculator, which does graphing for you. It has
Yeah.
to be, it has to sort of look like this, that there are different ones now that are even better than this. But this is what I have because, old habits die hard. That expression means that, I don't like to change. And I've used this for many years, and this is what I like to use. So that's what I'm using.
Does it have to be a physical calculator, or can we use a calculator app like Desmos?
Can you use what?
A calculator app.
Oh, an app.
Yeah.
No, you could use an app.
Okay, great.
You could use an app. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I know. The only thing is, when you're taking a test, and I will talk about this when the test comes, right? But when you're taking a test, this is the way it'll be taken. You will be like this, and you will tip your screen, and this is, you'll write the test while I'm watching you. You can't put your cell phone over the problem that you're doing. You can't put the phone over the problems. You know why. Some students don't know why, but I'm going to tell you why. There are cell phones that do the problems. That's no good. Okay? But we'll talk about that when we get close to the exam. We don't have an exam for a good, 3 or 4 weeks. So let's not even talk about that. All right now. Okay, what else? Office hours, calculators, check your emails. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. The way I run a class, the class will have 3 parts to it. A homework review, then we'll do a lesson, then I'll give you a 20-minute break. Usually. Sometimes we're running out of time. I can only give you a 15-minute break, but I will give you a break. I don't believe that a human being can learn math for 3 hours and 40 minutes straight without taking a break, and therefore every class will have a 20-minute break. And then when you come back from the break, that's when we do the second lesson. So there will always be 2 lessons plus a homework review. And that'll be the first thing we do. The homework review is first. I'll take attendance, I don't know when, honestly. Sometimes at the beginning, sometimes in the middle. So, that's when I take attendance. And that's really all I have to say. Unless somebody has something to say, I think we should start right away.